Oh, before I drink, howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to MCubed. I am Harris, your host, and today, in lieu of a Thursday stream, which kind of premiere day as films premiere, we're gonna be doing this today because we were supposed to do it yesterday, but life got busy, of course, and we're gonna go over Plane, the new Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter movie that's coming out this weekend, The Devil's Conspiracy. Um, I'm blanking. I looked at my wrong notes. Uh, House Party, of course. And A Man Called Otto is actually wide releasing this weekend. I thought it was wide releasing last weekend, which makes sense for its kind of lower box office numbers. So we'll really see what it can do this weekend. So we'll discuss a little bit of what's going on with the box office world and kind of do our guesstimations of the type of, I guess, monetary wins they will be making this weekend or losses possibly. So, yeah, let me take a sip of water and let's get right into it. I may or may not have just gotten back from the gym and ate a banana as fast as I could, so bear with me. Bear with me. All right. Let's jump in. So, let's look at just real quick. We went over these numbers on Tuesday, so let's go over them again and just use these numbers to gauge and guesstimate what's going to be happening this weekend. So, last weekend's box office, number one, the top five were Avatar 2, The Way of Water, with $45 million. Now, Megan came in with number two at $30 million, but on Friday evening, I know it did make more than Avatar 2 made on Friday, which is the first time that's happened in, of course, a month essentially. And Puss in Boots 2 came in third place with $13 million. A Man Called Otto was the fourth highest grossing film of last weekend with $4 million. And Black Panther 2, in what has to be its seventh, eighth, ninth, maybe even 10th week, came in at fifth highest grossing film with $3 million. So Black Panther 2 is still even tacking on cash. So thinking about that, this weekend we have Plane, Megan, I just looked at the wrong notes again. Plane, House Party, and The Devil's Conspiracy coming out for the first times, and A Man Called Otto wide releasing for the first time. So I guess let's start with A Man Called Otto and kind of give our guesstimations there, because we did see it with its soft opening this past weekend, and it only made $4 million, which is low for a Tom Hanks film. And I know on Sunday it only made like, if I remember the number off the top of my head, it was $967,000 and a couple cents net there, which once again, for a day on an opening weekend for a Tom Hanks film, that's unheard of. That is unheard of, and I don't know if it goes to show that Tom Hanks is in decline, or maybe it was just put in a bad spot in the beginning of January, and the studio didn't have a whole bunch of faith in it. Maybe it's just a generic film, so the studio decided, let's just toss it out there. I'm not entirely sure, but I did think last weekend was its wide release opening, because it opened a few weeks back, I think, with an even smaller opening in probably New York and LA. And LA is always having stuff. I see things early, which is cool. But it does kind of throw off trying to gauge the right numbers sometimes. So if it made $4 million in its soft opening, how much more should we expect it to make this weekend if it's adding, if I had to guess, somewhere between 800 and 1,600 theaters? It's possible, because I would have thought it'd be in like, usually the highest number of theaters you'll see across, I guess the U.S. is just the easiest way to gauge it, is roughly 22 to 2,700 in that kind of range. And I would guess that this is already in probably 600 or 800. So it's probably that 800 to like 1,600 theater expansion here. So with that in mind, if that's 2 to 3 times the amount of theaters it's in right now, and it made $4 million last weekend, if we expect it to kind of, if it's advertised more, people are talking about it, people like it, people don't like it, so people want to go see it and I guess formulate an opinion for themselves, that may play in its favor. So let's just say off the bat, it's going to make $4 million again at the same theaters that it made this past weekend. Let's not say it's 5 because it would only have to have zero point 0.1 more to actually make it up to a million for one day. But I guess roughly a million and a half a day per theater is what we're guesstimating here. And if it goes 3 times the amount as that, we of course settle at the number 12 million. I'd have to guess it's gonna be, if I'm lowballing it, I'm gonna say 11 million because I'd like to say 10, but I've got some faith in movie goers, And I did see a review or two off of this film this past week, and it kind of made me want to go see it just a little bit. I know I'm a little disillusioned with Tom Hanks at this point, just a little over the guy, but he's still America's grandpa in a way. So I might go check that out on Tuesday. But if I had to guess, I'm lowballing it at 11 million, and I don't think it's going to get past 16 million. I think 16 million would be giving it a little grace there and hoping for the best. And obviously, I hope for the best for every film. Not every film, but the vast, vast, vast majority of films, because competition breeds greatness. And, we want better movies. We want better films. We don't want just blockbusters or just a bunch of different indies. We want a little bit of all of it. And this film is kind of a happy medium between those. So we want to see it do well. Don't know if it's going to, but if I had to give my guesstimation, it's between 11 and 16 million is what I expect it to make this weekend. So with that up, let's think about, I guess let's go low. Let's go lowest to highest is my thought here. I think House Party is going to be our next lowest. And House Party might even be lower than A Man Called Otto this weekend, because A Man Called Otto obviously has Tom Hanks to lead this film. House Party, which I actually got to see yesterday, has a bunch of celebrity cameos, but none of the main cast is recognizable at all. And I'll save it for the out of theater reaction I have to post, but I didn't love the movie. I didn't hate the movie either. I didn't really even like it a whole bunch. And that's all I can give you on that, because I want you to come watch my out of theater reaction and my ticket or skip it on it, which I'm debating doing a ticket. English. I'm debating doing a ticket or skip it on at the moment, actually, just because I don't know if this counts as a film with acting. And I hate saying that because it denigrates to a degree what the actors did in the film, but the actors weren't acting. They literally just said lines and got a paycheck and said lines with a little bit of confidence. Cool. That's great. Great. And then there were a bunch of celebrity cameos. So that's kind of my fault there. And I don't think that itself will be much of a draw for your average Joe to go see, although there are a few niches that House Party will hit. So that's the one thing that I think may help it do a little better than A Man Called Otto, if it helps at all. So if I had to guesstimate for House Party, I'm going to lowball it at, it hurts me saying it, but I'm going to lowball it at 4 million, right where A Man Called Otto entered last week. Because I know this is not in as many theaters, but it is a wide release. I think it's hitting 15, 16, 1,800. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's 15, 16, 1,800 theaters that it's in. And that's decent. That's good. That's a really good number. But there wasn't any marketing. Once again, this is kind of a niche film. You're either a comedy fan or a fan of all the celebrities in there, or a basketball fan. I don't think there's enough niches to actually truly help this film. So I think the highest I can give it, if I'm lowballing it at 4 million, I'm gonna match it with Man Called Otto and say 16 million is the highest I think it'll make. And that's being nice. That's being nice. I really think it's more likely to hit that 7 to 10 million. That's that sweet spot, but I'm lowballing it at 4 and I'm highballing it at 16. But I think it's going to hit that 7 to 10 spot. I really do. I know that's a wide array to gauge right there, but that's what we're working with. So let's work with it. So after that, I think the next I growing the least the once again English. If I can get my thoughts straight, I'm thinking the film that'll be the next in our, I guess, up to the highest grossing of the weekend. I think it will be The Devil's Conspiracy, the new horror film that's coming out this weekend. And honestly, I might have to look on IMDb real quick, so don't crucify me because I can't think of anybody that's in this film off the top of my head. I have The Devil Conspiracy. There we go, not The Devil's Conspiracy. I keep adding an apostrophe and S in there. Okay, so IMDb rating currently sits at 6.8. I saw Rotten Tomatoes last week, and if I remember, it was like in the 90% for Rotten Tomatoes. Let me just Google it and see where it's telling us critics are thinking about it. Because I saw that it had a better rating than I expected it to at first. Oh wow. Now that's gotten a lot lower. Maybe I saw it when it only had one or two. Whoo! Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoo! That's the 31%. I was really hoping that this was going to be the next great horror film of 2023 following Megan. Critic wise, it does not look like it. The IMDb rating is a lot more, I guess, fan focused and your average Joe focused. So you and me and then all those kind of guys and people that are going to go see a film that might be a little more trustworthy, but that's at 6.8. So if you want to round up, that's 70. And if you want to round down on Rotten Tomatoes, that's 30 from 31. So what a happy medium there is literally 50%, which is half the people love it, half the people don't, which is not the best predicament to be in. I'm intrigued. I'm seeing the movie at 120 today. I don't know if that helps my excitement levels all that much, but it is a new film that's coming out this weekend. And you know what? Depending on House Party and Devil Conspiracy, which one's worse in my mind is the one that I will not or will do the ticket or skip it on. The better one, I'll do the ticket or skip it for. The one that I will hopefully forget about as I leave the theater, I may or may not do one. Probably not. Because, you know, they get a little pricey, but that's okay because they're fun to make. And I hope that y'all all enjoy them as much as we enjoy making them. But without further ado, let's keep running along. So we've gone over A Man Called Otto. We've gone over The House Party and The Devil Conspiracy, not Devil's Conspiracy, The Devil Conspiracy. So I should be counting with all these because I know we have 4 wide releases this weekend. The new 4th wide release is Plane. Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter. Old Luke Cage and Leonidas, right? From 300. I think that's the guy's name. Yeah, we have both of them, Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter, back. And I have already seen this one as well. And I don't think that Megan counts as an action movie. So I can tell you I will be giving an out-of-theater reaction and a ticket or skip it ASAP on this. But I can't hold it back, you know? Plane is the legitimate first good action flick of 2023. Gerard Butler actually has, I think, the best role that he's had since probably Olympus Has Fallen. Yeah, I think that's right. Because I can't think of another role that I've seen him in since then. I know of Geostorm and a couple of the other smaller roles, but I could never bring myself to watch them. So I haven't ever seen those. This is probably the first Gerard Butler movie that I haven't been that I've seen in a theater and not just rewatching from the past. And maybe a decade almost, which is just odd to say because, you know, he's still a household name. He's on all of our brains. We know who Gerard frickin' Butler is. He just hasn't been hitting the ground running per se in the last decade or so. But this, I don't know if it's going to bring a career resurgence of any kind of sort because it's definitely in the wheelhouse of all the movies that he has made in the past decade. But this is a damn good B movie. And I heard Jeremy Johns today compare it to like a 90s action flick. And he said, oh, put Arnold Schwarzenegger and Wesley Snipes in for Mike Coulter and Gerard Butler. 100%. I could see that all day. And I think that is a very good way of thinking about this. And yeah, I had a really good time. Gerard Butler has a vicious, not vicious, a fairly vicious fight scene with just him and this one other guy. And yeah, I mean it's not complicated. There's no weapons coming out. I mean there are a couple little weapons here and there, but it's mostly a fisticuffs type of fight. And I believed every second of that fight. The entire time I was thinking, did Gerard Butler do his own stunts? Like, what is going on here? Because Gerard Butler should not be the kind of guy that has to be getting choked out and flipped over things and yada yada. But I think unless they have a great stunt double, and are literally working that Hollywood magic, I think he may have done his own stunts because it looked fantastic. And you'll know what fight I'm talking about whenever you see the film. But Mike Coulter also was just golden in this. He was like a darker Luke Cage in a way. Not really. I can't compare him to Luke Cage. It's just easy to because, that's his biggest role at the moment. And he did do excellent with it. But he plays just a really good badass that seems like he's had a tough go of the road, as they say, and he's trying to make the best of it, even though he's in handcuffs on a plane that isn't going to make it, as we know just from the trailers. Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. I hope that it kind of is a sign of what's to come with more action kind of centric, action focused movies this year. Everything Everywhere All at Once was a beautiful way to start off the action of last year. That and The Northman it just set my expectations really high. And thankfully, there were enough films in 2023 in 2022, excuse me, where I thought those were not the two best films of the year, although they were damn close, because Everything Everywhere All at Once is still my favorite of 2022, and The Northman really isn't far behind it. It's probably my top 5 still. But then there's The Menu and Banshees of Inisherin, Marcel with Shoes On, or Marcel the Seashell with Shoes On, excuse me. Brian and Charles was, I think, the funniest movie, actually, after I really, really think about it last year. There was a lot of good movies, but the action last year kind of took a turn after the beginning of the year, because your big action things were, I think it took a turn in, I don't know if I can say that. It definitely took a turn by the time Thor: Love and Thunder rolled around, but I don't know if the MCU was really that turn, because in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness film did have some good action, but a lot of it was just CGI junk. And I hate saying that too, because that's a lot of artists putting a lot of time and work, but be creative with the magic. There was a lot of creativity with the horror element of that. So yeah, okay. I would say Multiverse of Madness, although it was a really good film, I think in a lot of ways, it definitely wasn't perfect. And there was a lot of things that it did that it didn't need to do. And a lot of things that it needed to do that it didn't do. But I can't say that's where the action turned. I'd have to think back a little bit to say that's where the action turned in 2022. But I'm hoping that with this movie and Megan leading off this year in 2023, that the action is going to be great, because just both of those films are. Megan's amazing in its own right, and Plane is a really, really solid action flick that is just a great way to start the year. It's not turn off your brain, sit there and be dumb for a few minutes. No, they legitimately have reasoning for each and every little action and scenario that takes place within the film. And although the bad guy's just kind of a generic bad guy, he's not going to be memorable. Mike Coulter and Gerard Butler will. Where House Party, if I wasn't planning on to talk to y'all about it at all, I would have already forgot about the film. Where Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter in Plane, sure, I'm not going to remember the bad guys all that much. I might not even remember some of the supporting cast, but those two, I will remember this film because of it, because of them. And, that's what you want to do. You want to be able to remember something. And I enjoyed it. So, you know what we didn't do? I did my guesstimations for the very first one, which was House Party, and I didn't do my guesstimations for the other films. So I guess let's go back in a row real quick, y'all. I guesstimated House Party making. No, I only guesstimated A Man Called Otto and House Party. I stopped at Devil Conspiracy because I had to search it. Talk about a little ADD, y'all. All right, well let's double back a little bit. So if we're thinking House Party makes, well, okay, if we're thinking A Man Called Otto makes roughly 12 million, highballing at 16 million and lowballing at, I want to say it was 8 or 9. And then House Party lowballing it at 4 million, highballing it at 16 million as well. But we really think it's going to hit that sweet spot of 7 to 10. Where would Devil Conspiracy sit? Because I know it is a wide release, but I'm sure it's not going to be a 2,500 theater wide release. It's probably going to be a 14 or 16, 1,800 theater wide release kind of deal again. And if we had to guesstimate, just because, I mean, Megan's doing great numbers, but I think people are still more interested in seeing Megan than they are seeing another horror movie that may or may not be as good and definitely doesn't have the same type of reviews, critics, or just your average Joe based that Megan does. I think people are still going to go see Megan over the Devil Conspiracy, which makes me maybe put Devil Conspiracy. Before this, I probably would have rationaled it higher than House Party and A Man Called Otto. I'm a really low ball it. I think Devil Conspiracy, if my low ball number is going to be $2 million for the weekend, and my high ball number is going to be 12. So I really think if we give it a sweet spot, it's going to be that 5 to 8 million. Yeah, that sounds about right. I might want to expand that to 4 to 8 million, but I think 5 to 8 million is probably its generic sweet spot right there. And if it does better, good, because we need those horror movies to come on, because I think that's the one kind of genre I was hesitant about coming into this year. But then we got Megan, and it excited me for it. And I don't know if the Devil Conspiracy is going to take that excitement away or push it further for going into this year. So I guess right now we expect the Devil Conspiracy to make the least amount of money. A Man Called Otto next, and then, or no, House Party or The Man Called Otto, honestly, kind of interchangeable in that third and fourth spot there. And I say that because there are only 4 wide release films this weekend, but we know what's going to still make the most amount this weekend. The old blue people will Avatar 2. But the other thing that I'm thinking about is Plane. And Plane, if we have to kind of gauge where that's going to make, Megan made $30 million in its opening weekend last weekend. And I don't know if it's going to make that much or if it'll make more because it has 2 stars that people are more familiar with than Allison Williams. And Allison Williams is great, and people, of course, recognize her from plenty of things, mostly Get Out. But I think Mike Coulter and Gerard Butler are more household names, and people recognize their faces even more. So that might just help ticket sales alone. If I had to lowball Plane, I'm going to lowball it at making 22 million. I almost said 20 million, but 22 had a nice ring to it, you know? And if I had to highball it, I'm going to say 40. I'm going to say 40 million. So I really hope it hits that sweet spot, kind of right where Megan hit last weekend, and kind of that 28 to 32. That's my best guesstimation on how the first year looked, how people went to the theaters, and if those numbers will continue, if those same type of people will come back to the movie theaters again to go see another movie, or if a whole different audience of people are coming in to go see Plane, which I would think there would be a decent bit of overlap with the same type of people that go see Megan and would go see Plane. Because it's kind of a type of film where, I might go see Megan again. And then you get there and you're like, well, that theater's kind of full. People are kind of hopping in that movie. It is going to be fun, but what else is here? Plane would be kind of your natural kind of gravitation right there. So sweet spot, I'm guessing that 28 to 32. Low ball 22, high ball 40. I hope it does more, but you can't really expect that much this early on in the year. All we can do is just gauge the numbers by now. And I'm not doing the best job by any sense of the term at all. But in like a month and a half, 2 months after doing this every Tuesday and Thursday, we're gonna be right on the ball, y'all. I think we're getting a good range, and that's kind of why I'm giving these ranges right now. But a couple months, we're gonna be able to guess these things off the top of our heads. So those are our 4 wide releases that are coming out into theaters this weekend. A Man Called Otto, of course, already has been soft released, and now this is its wide release. Megan also had a soft release, but it only showed for like 2 weekends, I think, here in LA and New York back in December, and then they did a wider release beginning of January, and I'm glad this is going well for them. I'm thinking, even though we have 4 wide releases, Avatar 2, Avatar The Way of Water, is still going to be by far number 1. I think if it still made $45 million last weekend and its 3rd weekend, maybe 4th weekend, if I remember off the top of my head, I think it was 3rd. It's still going to be making cash. It's Avatar. It's James Cameron. It was, I think, this past weekend got it to $1.7 billion is what we went over on Tuesday. And it's the 7th highest grossing film of the year, or of ever, excuse me. I really expect this weekend to kind of bump it up to maybe 6th, maybe 5th. But I think the next one it has to beat is Spider-Man No Way Home at like 1.9-ish billion. So I think it will. I don't know if it's internationally. There we go. It may hit that this weekend. I don't know if domestic numbers are going to do that well for it, but I think it'll still hit that 35 to 45 million kind of range it has been hitting. If it hit 45 this past weekend, if I had to give you a number just off the top of my head, if I had to guesstimate, I'd go with 42 million. But of course, I don't know. I'm just going to guesstimate that it is 42 million. Ooh, I did just think about something, though, that we didn't take into account for this entire thing. And I'm not well versed enough in just talking about box office numbers like this yet to reintegrate gauging my mind and talking about all of that real quick. But Monday is Martin Luther King Day, MLK Day. And that means it's a long weekend, which means more people are going to be going to the movie theaters. So all of the numbers that we gave, maybe toss a little closer to that high ball there. Probably closer to the sweet spot to the high ball is where we'll be looking at. And that's good. That's a great thing. I love that MLK Day is, first of all, a thing, of course. But I love that it is that longer weekend this early in the year already. Of course, let the kiddos get out of school. Tossing them back into school right after being out for a couple weeks. That was always difficult, But that's great for us adults living and working and things like that as well, because go to the movie theaters. If you don't have to have work on Monday, go. Try early in the mornings because that's when it's cheaper. Or get your movie tickets for Tuesday and talk about it that day because, Discount Tuesday, old Movie Tuesday is one of my favorite parts of the week, every week. And I think that's when I'll probably go see A Man Called Otto, honestly. I don't know if there's anything else on Movie Tuesday that I should go see, but I'm still going to try to convince my friends to go see Megan again because come on. Because they haven't seen it yet. And of course I have, but I'll go back, especially for a $5 ticket Tuesday, I believe that may be all for me today, though. Avatar 2, I think, is definitely still going to head the box office. Next up after that has got to be Plane. After that, 3, 4, and 5 are up in the air. So A Man Called Otto, The Devil Conspiracy, and House Party all could kind of do similar things this weekend. So we're really just waiting to see what 3, 4, and 5 are. Because if one of them really doesn't do well, Black Panther 2 might still come up and make $2, $3, $4 million and knock one of them out of that top 5 range. But realistically, we want all of them to do well on this long weekend. And if all of these films made at least $10 million this weekend, that would look great for the movie theaters. And it would look great for audiences. And it would look great for movie lovers in general. So get out to the movie theaters and see what's going on. Check out what's going on in theaters right now, because there's a lot of fun stuff. And the new stuff is decent. New stuff is decent. Megan, of course, and Avatar and Plane would be my biggest suggestions for you. But that is all for me. This Sunday, come back. I think we're going to try it. Because, okay, Last of Us comes out this Sunday. It airs at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. Pacific over here. And Schmook, the other channel guy over here for movies and television, he's going to be doing a live stream on Sunday afterwards. And it's going to be our after show, but we're calling it Afterthoughts. And it's going to be Afterthoughts on The Last of Us. And I believe since 8 p.m. would be your Central Standard Time whenever it airs, it will be over by about 9:30ish. So about 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock. Let's go from right to left. 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Rocky Mountain Time, and 8 o'clock on Pacific Standard Time, we're going to be doing a Last of Us Afterthought show. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. Schmook will be excited about that because he's a giant zombie guy. And I'm a big zombie guy too, but I fell out of love with I didn't fall out of love with the zombie genre, but The Walking Dead, I've talked about it before. It hurt me and I had to leave it. But Schmook stayed, and I think he still watches all the spinoffs and everything as well. So he's in touch and in tune with all that, and he's going to be giving y'all a great Afterthoughts show on The Last of Us this Sunday at any of those given times I said earlier. 10 p.m. Pacific Standard. No, I lied again. 8 p.m. Pacific Standard, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard. Too many numbers for me real quick. But that is all that I got for you today. Keep an eye out for MCubed grades, excuse me. Keep an eye out for Tickler Skippets and for out-of-theater reactions for all the movies coming out as of recent this weekend and that will be coming out this next week. So have a great day, and if you want to come back for some movie-loving goodness, MCubed is here for you, and we got a lot for you to check out. So have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you soon. See y'all.